Hello, this is Teacher Amelia, and I thought I'd take a few minutes today to talk to you about how I prepare for classes. I actually came across this old folder that I had that I used when I was preparing for my mock class. And for my mock class, they had asked us to prepare to teach the letter P and the letter X, and then they had said that they would choose which letter we would present. We ended up doing an abbreviated version of that, so they let me choose, and I actually picked P. So I didn't use this, but I still have the file folder for it. So I just thought I'd walk you through this. Again, this is what I did when I was preparing for my mock class. The first thing that I did is I printed off the objectives page. And I studied this probably more than anything else, because in the objectives, they tell you the lesson name, of course. They would typically tell you the student's age and level, and you'll get that for real classes as well. There are target sentence patterns, and those are very, very important because those are the sentences that you want your student to be very familiar with. There's target vocabulary, students' prior knowledge. That's something that's in the mock classes, but in a real class, you'll see that in teachers' notes. It also tells you the student's prior knowledge in terms of sentence patterns. So, for example, in this particular mock lesson, my student already knew the words ruler, robot, king, kite, and key, and should be able to say, hello, hi teacher, how are you? They should be able to answer that. What do you see? How old are you? Goodbye teacher, some basic things like that. It also talks about the phonics, and that's a very important thing to look at in your lesson, either for your mock class, your interview, or a real lesson, because you want to make sure that you have a very strong understanding of the phonics and how to pronounce them and how to teach them. So the objectives of the lesson are very important, and I no longer print them out, but I do still look at them. I also actually printed out the entire presentation, and I looked at each and every page of my mock class printed. Again, I no longer do that. I do absolutely review it in advance, no doubt, but I use my little teacher app on my phone, so I might do it while I'm in bed the night before, or while I'm in line at the supermarket, but I absolutely look at each and every slide. The other thing that I have in my folder are my printed props, and I still do this. I don't print things for every single class, but I do like to print, and I do like to laminate, so I use these things as often as possible. And so a couple of the things that I did, of course, the letter X, you can imagine some of the vocabulary things that were in there. Mr. Fox. And so I had printed him out and put him on a little stick. These are sticks that I had in my kitchen already from fruit skewers that I will never, ever make again. I poked my finger so many times, it was pitiful. But they work great for making little puppets. So I've got Mr. Fox, and I have Mr. Ox. And so I got those printed in advance. There's a game in there, a matching game. And so I printed that out along with little cards that I had taped on so that you could just pull up and do a little guessing game. In hindsight, knowing now what I know then, I would probably number them and put a number on each one of these so that the child could tell me a number and I could take off the number to show them what's underneath. So I had that little game. The other thing, at the time, I did not have a whiteboard. I hadn't purchased one because I was interviewing. So for my phonics, I had just printed out and laminated. And I didn't know which way my computer, if I needed to print it backwards or not, which I didn't, by the way. You could just print regular. but I had printed both ways, and I had my letters here, so you could hold up mix or 6 or whatever. And I still get confused because maybe in this particular webcam it's looking backwards for me. But I did talk with my mentor and confirmed that in the classroom, just regular printed materials were showing up correctly. So I could hold up a 6, and while I think this looks backwards in this, to the students it does not. So those are the things that I printed off in advance, and anytime I can find a prop, a toy, or a real object, I always try to grab that. So here I found a fox, Mr. Fox. And so this would be really fun. This was actually a dog toy that is a little worse for the wear. You can see he's been a little chewed on. So those were the things that I had at hand ready to do my mock class. I had practiced the entire thing several times, practicing my TPR, practicing, my letters, just everything I could think of to practice. I practiced in the shower. Now I'm pleased to say that I don't take nearly as much time to prepare. I still go through the basic process of reviewing everything, but to give you an example, this is what, instead of a folder, this is what I had prepared to teach my certification class for level 4. So I, of course, had gone through all of the classes and all of the lessons in preparing to take the quiz. And then I went through and I reviewed the PowerPoint in advance and thought about, okay, I've only got 10 minutes for this particular level 4 mock class demo. And so how can I make the most of that? Now, of course, I have my can't live without it whiteboard and marker, and so I had written out some examples for my student on the whiteboard, and I used it real time in the class. I printed out, because I already had a map of China on the wall, and then I added a map of the United States, and the lesson was about travel, and so my secondary reward system, I printed out little airplanes and used airplanes, and every time the student got 3 airplanes, they got a star. I had my star printed out, which I actually use in lessons every single day. One of these days I'll find a really cute wand with a star or something, but in the meantime, all I have is a little laminated star and a piece of tape, and can really, play with that in the camera. And I had brought up my suitcase to talk about suitcases, but it's since out of here, and I put it in the other room. So all in all, again, my process is very similar, whether I'm preparing for an interview, demo, a mock class, or an actual class. Very first thing I do is I read the objectives. I always review each and every slide. I review any information that I have about the student, and I gather any props and have them staged and ready to go so I can just grab them. As you get more comfortable, as you teach more classes, you'll become more and more familiar with it, and it'll take you less and less time to prepare. When I started, I would spend a long time getting ready and getting comfortable with the material. Now I can spend anywhere from 5 to 10 minutes and really feel good and feel like I'm ready to go. If it's a student that I've taught several times and I've been in the unit with them, then I can review it very quickly because I know what they know, I know what we talked about before, and I know basically what the lesson will be like. If it's a new student or a new unit that I'm not familiar with, then I'll spend a little more time just so that I'm sure that I'm comfortable and I'm not squinting trying to read on the screen and figure out what's next. What am I supposed to be doing? So that's my preparation in a nutshell. I hope that it's helpful. If you have any questions at all, please feel free to ask me in the comments to the video, or you can follow my blog. I post a lot of answers and articles there. If you're looking to get started and you'd like a mentor, I'll post my referral link down in the comments, and I would be happy to help you. So just let me know, and good luck.